Okay, so before we jump in, I want you to just imagine something for a second. Picture a very specific kind of night in San Francisco.
Okay.
We're not talking about, the postcard version with the fog rolling over the Golden Gate Bridge.
No romanticism here.
No, none of that.
Yeah.
This is the gritty, bone-chilling version. It's pouring rain. And I mean the kind of rain that just, it feels like a curtain between you and everything else. Streetlights are just these blurry neon streaks.
That isolating kind of rain.
Exactly. The wind is just cutting right through whatever you're wearing. You're walking up one of those ridiculously steep hills, and you're clutching this little plastic bag to your chest.
Like it's something precious.
Right. But it's not.
Yeah.
Inside, it's just your only pair of dry clothes. And in your pocket, you have $20. Exactly $20.
Wow. That is a terrifyingly specific number. That is the sum total of your entire existence in that moment.
That's it. No credit cards, no backup plan, no one to call. Just a single, probably crumpled $20 bill. That's all that's standing between you and, well, everything.
Hunger, homelessness, all of it.
And to make it worse, your shoes are completely worn out. So with every single step, that freezing rainwater is just seeping in, this constant physical reminder of how broke you are.
And you've got this whole other world of worry back at home, right?
Well, yeah. Back at the tiny apartment you can barely afford, your mother is sick, the cupboards are completely empty, and the silence in that apartment is, heavier than all the city noise outside.
So you're just out there walking with this one desperate thought.
A prayer, really. Just whispering it into the rain, please God, give me one job today.
That just sets the stakes so incredibly high right from the jump. This isn't just a story about someone looking for work.
Not at all.
It's about raw survival. It creates this tunnel vision where the only thing that matters, the only thing that even exists, is finding a lifeline right now. The psychological pressure of that kind of scarcity, it's immense.
And that is precisely where we meet Lena. She's the protagonist of the story we're doing a deep dive on today, which is called The Job That Changed Everything.
And that title, it could mean so many things.
It could. And I think on the surface, you might hear that and think, okay, this is a standard romance, maybe a sort of rags to riches fairy tale.
Right. A Cinderella story.
Totally.
Mm-hmm.
But as we really got into the weaves with the source material of the full narrative text, all the character breakdowns, the plot mechanics, we realized it's actually this really fascinating and sophisticated hybrid.
It really is a genre blender.
Yeah, it's got the emotional core, the architecture of a romantic drama for sure. But that's all wrapped up inside what is essentially a corporate thriller.
Oh, absolutely. There's embezzlement, frame-ups, conspiracy.
Yeah.
Lena ends up doing a surprising amount of, forensic accounting.
She really does. And that's what I think makes this deep dive so interesting. We're looking at a narrative that really forces us to examine the intersection of extreme poverty and extreme wealth.
And how those two worlds don't just meet, they collide violently. You have Lena, who is completely financially vulnerable, and she walks into the life of Ethan Gray, who is, he's emotionally bankrupt.
Oh, that is the perfect phrase for him. Emotionally bankrupt, he has all the money in the world, but he's hollowed out. So our mission today is to really unpack this whole story. We're going to go from that rainy San Francisco night all the way to a showdown in a warehouse.
And along the way, we'll be analyzing these key themes that the story brings up, things like grief and what it does to a person.
And this idea that the text brings up, this concept of the invisible observer.
I love that concept.
Yeah, and finally, how trust can function as a currency that's actually, way more valuable than money in the end.
And we should just clarify, our source material is this single, very detailed narrative text. It follows Lena and Ethan through this incredibly tumultuous period in their lives. It's a story about resilience, yeah, but it's also a warning about how grief can paralyze you.
How it can make you blind.
Exactly. Blind to the dangers that are circling right in front of your face.
Okay, so let's start at the beginning. Chapter 1, The Desperate Rival. Lena is on that street, she's soaked, she's desperate, and then she sees it. A big iron gate.
And there's a sign on it?
Yeah, sign that says, help wanted, made immediate.
That phrasing always felt a little off to me. Made immediate.
It's a little ominous, right? It's not grammatically perfect, which suggests it was put up in a hurry. Why the rush?
Exactly. From a linguistic standpoint, that sign is a huge red flag. A well-run household, a corporate HR department. They don't use that kind of wording. It screams that the internal system has completely broken down.
It's desperation on the employer's side.
A perfect mirror for Alina's own desperation. It's the strange convergence of two different kinds of urgent need.
So she walks through the gate up to this huge mansion. And the description of the house here is so important. The text says it looked silent, almost like it was sleeping.
And that's such a specific choice of words. A sleeping house. It's not just quiet.
Right.
Quiet can be peaceful. Sleeping implies a lack of life, a lack of consciousness. It's dormant. It's not active.
It's a direct mirror of the owner, Ethan Gray.
Absolutely. The architecture is reflecting the mind of the person inside. When we meet him, he's not really living in that mansion. He's just existing, haunting it almost.
It's haunting his own home. That's a great way to put it. So Lena knocks, the door opens, and there he is, Ethan Gray. He's tall, deep voice, the whole package, but the eyes.
The eyes always tell the story.
The text says his eyes look like he had not slept for many nights. He's just utterly exhausted, and their first interaction is so cold, so brief.
It's purely transactional.
Completely. She says, "I came for the job," and he just stares at her
Yeah.
for a long, uncomfortable second. Then he says, "Come back tomorrow, 8 a.m." He shuts the door.
And what's interesting there is that he isn't cruel, not in the classic, evil rich guy trope.
No, not at all.
He's just indifferent. He's numb. To him, in that moment, Lena isn't a person. She's a function. She's the solution to a logistical problem, someone to clean the house.
So he can go back to his real job, which is staring out the window.
Exactly. It's a classic symptom of what psychologists might call, extreme depressive detachment or passive apathy. He doesn't care who she is because he doesn't really care about himself or his house or anything anymore.
But for Lena, even that cold, brief interaction is a victory. She got the job. It means survival. There's this really heartbreaking detail where she goes home and tells her sick mother, and her mom gives her this piece of advice.
Oh, this line is so important.
She says, "Work hard, my Lena. Don't lose your kindness."
And that right there, that's the moral compass for the entire narrative. Don't lose your kindness. It sounds like a simple platitude, something any mother would say.
Right.
But in this story, it's not a platitude. It's actually tactical advice. It foreshadows everything. Her kindness, not her ability to dust, is what is ultimately going to save everyone.
Her humanity becomes her most valuable asset.
In a world of cold, hard transactions, her kindness is her unique selling proposition. It's the one thing Mark Benson can't replicate or forge.
So Lena starts working. And again, the atmosphere of the house is just hammered home. It's huge. It's quiet. It's empty. No laughter, no music, only footsteps.
It's a mausoleum, a physical manifestation of grief. He is literally surrounded by all this empty space, all this luxury, but it's completely void of joy.
And he just sits alone, reading papers he probably doesn't care about, staring out the window. At first, he completely ignores her. She's just part of the furniture.
And this is where that social invisibility concept really starts to come into play. Lena is there. She is physically present. She's moving objects, cleaning his space, but she just does not register on his radar as a human being.
She's a ghost in his house. Until the incident with the photo.
This is the first crack in the ice.
The first one, yeah. This is really the inciting incident for their relationship.
It's where she stops being a function and starts becoming a person to him.
She's cleaning his study, this place that's probably the heart of his isolation. And she finds a photo on the floor. It's a beautiful woman and a little boy.
His family.
His family. She doesn't know that yet. She just sees this beautiful photo, and she can't just leave it on the floor. So she picks it up and places it carefully on his desk.
A simple act of respect.
A simple act.
Yeah.
But when Ethan comes in, he sees it's been moved, and he is immediately suspicious. His first words are sharp. "Did you touch this?"
And you have to understand the psychology there. Grief makes people incredibly territorial about memories. That photo isn't just an object.
It's a relic.
It's a portal to his past, to the life he lost. It's probably the only thing in that entire room he actually truly cares about. And having a stranger touch it feels like a profound violation.
He's afraid she might have
What?
tainted the memory.
Or just disturbed the order of his grief. He's clinging to this static pain, and she has just, without knowing it, introduced a new variable. But look at Lena's reaction.
She doesn't cower. She's not scared. She just speaks the simple truth.
Calm.
So calmly. She just says, "It was on the floor, sir." And the text says he looks into her eyes and sees no fear, no deception, just honesty. And the anger just drains out of him. It's replaced by sadness.
He tells her she can go for the day. He needs to be alone with that memory again. But the interaction has changed something in both of them.
It has.
Yeah.
Because later that night, Lena is lying in bed, and she's not thinking about the job or the money. She's thinking about him. And she has this moment of insight. She realizes he's broken inside.
And that is the invisible observer theme kicking into high gear.
Explain that.
Well, because Lena is a domestic worker, she gets access to his most private, unguarded moments. The outside world, his business partners, they probably see Ethan Gray, the powerful, wealthy CEO.
The man who has it all together.
Right. But Lena sees the truth. She sees the man who leaves photos of his dead family on the floor. She sees the man whose eyes are hollow. She's the only one who gets to see the real person behind the facade. And she diagnoses him.
And crucially, she decides to care, which is a choice.
It's a huge choice.
She could just do her job, take the money, and go home. Her life is hard enough without taking on his problems. But the text says, I didn't know why I cared, but I did.
And that empathy, that choice to care, is the engine of the entire plot. If she didn't care, she wouldn't have been paying attention later when Mark Benson starts making his moves.
She goes from being a passive employee to being an invested stakeholder in his actual well-being.
She does. And that sets us up perfectly for the next big turning point.
Right. So let's move into what the outline calls Chapter 2, the crack in the armor. This is where that little crack from the photo incident gets broken wide open.
And it happens with the sound of shattering glass.
Yeah. Lena's is dusting in another room, and she hears this crash from the study. She runs in, and Ethan has dropped a glass. It's shattered everywhere, and he's cut his hand. There's blood.
Now, think about the traditional power dynamic here. A servant in this situation, their first instinct is probably fear.
Oh, absolutely. Oh, no, I have to clean up this mess. Or the master is angry and clumsy. I need to make myself scarce.
There's a classic fight, flight, or freeze response. And for someone in her vulnerable position, you'd expect her to freeze, or maybe flee to go find a dustpan and a mop.
But that is not what Lena does. She doesn't see the mess. She sees the wound. She runs to him.
And she does something incredibly symbolic. She tears a piece of her own apron.
Her uniform.
Her uniform, the symbol of her station. She tears it and uses the cloth to bandage his hand. It's this incredibly dramatic, selfless gesture. She's literally sacrificing a piece of her professional identity to tend to his personal pain.
And then we get this piece of dialogue that I think is the absolute heart of the first act of this story. He looks at her, probably in shock, and he says, "You're not afraid of me."
And her reply just completely disarms him. She says, "Why should I be?"
That question, why should I be? It just hangs in the air. It's so simple, but it challenges his entire self-perception.
Oh, completely. He probably feels like a monster. Or, at the very least, like this dark cloud of misery that everyone has to walk on eggshells around. He expects people to be afraid of him because he feels frightening inside.
And Lena just cuts right through that. She doesn't see a monster. She sees a man who cut his hand.
She treats him like a normal human being, and in doing so, she humanizes him to himself. It pulls him back down to earth, out of the fog of his grief for just a second.
And then he whispers it. "Thank you, Lena." He uses her name.
Using the name is huge. Symbolically, it's the moment she transforms in his eyes from the staff into an individual. The hierarchy between them just momentarily flattens. It's not master and servant anymore.
It's just two people in a wound.
Exactly. And Lena's mother, when she hears about this, she has another one of her incredibly wise lines. She says, "Sometimes maids fix hearts, too."
Which is a beautiful sentiment, but it also speaks to a larger truth, doesn't it?
It really does. It highlights the immense emotional labor that domestic workers and other caregivers so often perform, usually without recognition. They aren't just cleaning up physical messes. They are often the ones managing the emotional atmosphere of a home.
With the silent therapists, the confidants.
The invisible pillars holding things up.
So after the glass incident, things really start to thaw. The ice is broken. He starts asking her small questions. He asked us about her mother.
He's showing an interest in her life outside the walls of his mansion. He's seeing her as a whole person now.
And he starts leaving little notes for her, just simple things like thank you.
Gestures of acknowledgement. He's learning to express gratitude again, which is a huge step for someone who's been lost in despair.
And then, eventually, he trusts her enough to reveal the source of all that pain. He tells her his wife and his son died in an accident.
And he gives her this absolutely devastating line. He says, "I stopped believing in peace."
What does that even mean, to stop believing in peace?
It implies a state of constant internal war, a permanent state of anxiety and pain, with no hope of a ceasefire. It explains everything about his behavior, the isolation, the indifference. He's been living in a war zone inside his own head.
And it also explains why he was so vulnerable to what happens next.
Precisely. When you don't believe in peace, when you don't care about your own future, you stop paying attention to the details. You stop reading the fine print.
Your shields are down.
All the way down. You become an easy target. And that's when the predator arrives.
And to the antagonist, Mark Benson.
The classic wolf in sheep's clothing. Or maybe more accurately in this story, the corporate predator in a bespoke suit.
He starts showing up late at night. There are other men in suits with him. There are hushed, urgent voices. And Lena, the invisible observer, she overhears snippets.
And the snippets are damning.
She hears someone say, "Mark, you should not do this inside the house." And she hears Mark's reply, "Relax, Ethan doesn't know a thing."
And boom, the genre just shifts on a dime.
Yeah.
We are leaving the territory of gothic romance and we are driving straight into the corporate thriller.
It's clear that Mark is exploiting Ethan's grief. He knows Ethan is checked out. He knows he's not paying attention.
It's predatory in the truest sense of the word. He's picking off the weakest member of the herd. He's found an animal that's wounded and he's moving in for the kill.
And then, right as this external threat is ramping up, Ethan's internal state gets worse. He gets sick, a really bad fever.
And this scene is so important because it just reinforces his total isolation. Who else is there to take care of him?
No one, just Lena. And she does. She nurses him, she makes him soup, she gives him medicine, and in his feverish, vulnerable state, he admits something to her.
He says, "No one said that to me in years."
Referring to someone telling him to rest, someone taking care of him. It's a gut punch. It shows how utterly alone he's been.
It creates a new kind of dependency between them, but this time it's a healthy one. He's realizing that he needs human connection to survive. But just as that emotional bond is forming,
The danger outside gets more real. As he's getting better, he gives Lena a warning. He tells her to be careful around his office. He says, if anyone comes asking, tell them I'm not here.
so he knows. On some level, his subconscious is screaming at him. He knows something is wrong.
He's finally starting to wake up from that grief-induced coma. But he's waking up and realizing he's in the middle of a nightmare.
And it might be too late to stop it. He's realizing that while he was sleeping, the wolves got into the pen.
Which takes us right into Chapter 3, the frame-up. This is where Mark's plan really kicks into high gear.
The pressure campaign begins.
Mark is at the house constantly now, pushing Ethan to sign a stack of papers. He's using this urgent language. The deal will fall apart. We have to do this now.
He's manufacturing a crisis to force a quick, unexamined decision.
And for the first time, Ethan pushes back a little. He actually tries to read the papers, to verify them. It's a small act of rebellion, but it shows he's trying to regain control of his life.
But Mark is ready for that. He immediately deploys his most powerful weapon.
Gaslighting.
Exactly. The moment Ethan shows a flicker of due diligence, Mark feigns hurt and betrayal. He says, "You still don't trust me after all these years."
It's a brilliant, insidious tactic.
It's perfect emotional manipulation. He's using their history, their friendship, and Ethan's fragile mental state against him. He frames a perfectly valid business question as a deep personal betrayal.
How dare you check my math? I thought we were friends.
And it forces Ethan into an impossible choice. He has to choose between being a good friend and being a good businessman. And Mark knows that in his weakened state, Ethan will fold. He'll choose to avoid the emotional conflict.
And he does. But then things escalate. The police show up at the gate.
Which is a huge escalation.
A huge one. But Mark is smooth. He goes out, handles it, comes back in, and tells Ethan, don't worry about it, just some confusion. He's managing Ethan's reality for him.
He's acting as the gatekeeper of information, isolating him even further.
But then Mark makes a mistake. A small one, but it's the one that unravels everything. Ethan forgets his phone when he goes to another room. It's left on the table.
And Lena is there.
Lena's there. And the screen lights up with a new message. She can't help but see it. And the message says, transfer complete. Keep him quiet.
Chilling. Just absolutely chilling. There's no innocent explanation for that message.
None. And this is the moment. This is where Lena has to make a choice. She could pretend she didn't see it. We would be safer.
Much safer. Getting involved is dangerous. It puts her job, maybe even her life, at risk.
But her loyalty has shifted, hasn't it? It's no longer just about the job description. It's about the human being she's been taking care of. She has crossed the line from being a maid to being his protector.
And she starts looking for more. She's not just cleaning anymore, she's investigating.
And she finds it in the fireplace and the trash. A half-burned piece of paper? Most of it is ash, but she can make out the word account and a string of strange numbers.
It's not much, it's just a fragment.
But her instinct tells her it's important. So she does something incredibly modern and brave. She takes out her phone and she takes a photo of it.
Her first act of espionage.
It is. So let's analyze her motivation here. Why does she do it? Why take that risk?
I think it's a combination of things. On one level, it's her mother's advice echoing in her head. Maybe you are sent there to help him. She feels a sense of purpose, of destiny, almost.
A higher calling than just cleaning.
But I think it's also more personal than that. It's her own growing feelings for Ethan. It's an instinct for justice. She sees this person who is fundamentally good and decent being eaten alive by sharks. She can't fight them head on, not yet.
But she can document the attack.
Yes. The smartphone becomes her weapon. It's the great equalizer. It bridges the gap between her intuition, what she feels is wrong, and the hard evidence she needs to prove it.
And right around this time, Ethan, who's growing more paranoid, drops this incredibly bleak, foreshadowing line on her. He says, "In this world, Lena, truth doesn't protect you."
And what a cynical but often accurate worldview for someone who has lost everything. He believes the system is rigged. He believes chaos reigns.
And in his own life, he's about to be proven right.
At least temporarily. He knows that in a courtroom or a boardroom, objective truth is secondary to what you can prove. And he's starting to realize that Mark is manufacturing the proof against him.
So that takes us into chapter 4, which is where Lena really earns the title we came up with.
I love this, the forensic maid.
The forensic maid. Because she goes into full detective mode.
And it highlights how her domestic skills, the things people overlook, actually translate perfectly into investigative skills.
How so?
Well, think about it. Her job is to notice things that are out of place. A smudge on a glass, a cushion that's been moved. She has an eye for detail and a memory for the baseline state of a room. She detects pattern disruption. That's what a detective does.
That's a great point. So she's cleaning his office, the one he warned her about, and she finds a document left out, a private transfer agreement.
Left out on purpose, probably by Mark, to be found later by the authorities.
And Lena knows this is wrong. She knows Ethan isn't making any big transfers, so she photographs it, page by page.
Building her case file.
Then she finds a folder, and inside are photos of checks. Some are signed by Ethan, some are signed by Mark. But Lena? She looks closely.
And what does she see?
She's seen Ethan's handwriting every day on those little thank you notes he leaves her. She knows his signature, and she can see that the ones on these checks, they look copied. They're too perfect. They're forgeries.
Wow. The invisible observer pays off in a huge way. Because she cleans the house, she has access to this baseline data, his casual handwriting, that no one else would have. A corporate auditor would only see the official signature. Lena sees the discrepancy.
She sees the lie. And she realizes what's happening. Mark is framing Ethan for embezzlement. He's siphoning money out of the company and creating a paper trail that leads directly to Ethan.
And at this point, the conflict between Ethan and Mark comes to a head. The masks come off.
Ethan finally confronts him, refuses to sign the last document, refuses to be the fall guy, and Mark just drops the friendly facade completely. He says, "Then you'll go down for my mistake."
The threat is now explicit. It's out in the open.
And then Lena sees another text message meant for Mark. This one is even more terrifying. It says, "Finish it before she finds out."
Oh, that ambiguity is just brutal.
Who is she?
Does it mean a financial regulator? A lawyer? The police? Or does it mean Lena? Does Mark know that she's been watching?
Lena certainly fears it's about her. The threat is no longer abstract. She feels a target being painted directly on her back.
The danger has moved from financial to physical.
And then the final blow? An ominous phone call comes in. Lena picks it up. A cold voice on the other end says, "Tell Ethan his time is up." And click.
And that's the trigger.
That's the trigger. Boom. Chapter 5, The Fall on the Rise.
The inevitability of it is just crushing. You can feel the gears of the conspiracy grinding toward their conclusion.
The next morning, Lena finds Ethan in his study. He's just sitting there holding a letter, looking completely defeated. He just looks at her and says, "They're taking everything."
He knows it's over. The trap has been sprung.
And then the police arrive. This time they don't stop at the gate. They come right to the door. They arrest him for corporate fraud, for embezzlement, for stealing millions of dollars.
And Ethan's reaction is just resignation. He doesn't fight. He doesn't protest.
He just says that line again, but this time with the weight of handcuffs on his wrists. Truth doesn't matter when lies have evidence.
It's such a powerful nihilistic statement. Mark has successfully constructed a false reality, but it's a reality that is backed up by forged documents, by illegal transfers, by a mountain of manufactured evidence.
And Ethan, in his depressive, exhausted state, he just doesn't have the energy. He doesn't have the kinetic force required to fight back against that manufactured reality.
He surrenders to the narrative that Mark has written for him. It's a psychological surrender as much as a legal one.
But Lena doesn't surrender.
No. Because unlike Ethan, she has the real evidence. She holds the counter-narrative on her phone.
She knows Mark is the architect of the whole thing. She goes back to her little room and she reviews her evidence. The photo of the bird paper, the pictures of the transfer agreement, the forged checks.
She's the only one who has the full picture.
And she realizes it's not enough. It's circumstantial. She needs something more. She needs a confession. So she does the bravest, most reckless thing in the entire story.
She stalks him.
She follows Mark. She waits outside his office, stays in the shadows, and follows his car across the city to a derelict warehouse district down by the bridge.
This is incredibly dangerous. I mean, let's just set the scene. It's night, it's an industrial area, there are no witnesses. She is completely and totally out of her element.
She's not a spy, she's not a cop, she's a domestic worker with a smartphone and a desperate plan.
But she knows she needs the smoking gun. She needs to hear him say it to get it on tape.
She creeps up to the warehouse, finds a dirty window and looks inside. Mark is there with an accomplice, and she hits record on her phone. And she hears it.
The confession.
Mark says, clear as day. Once Gray is done, the company is ours. He lays out the whole plan, and then they talk about her.
Oh, this is the best part. The classic villainous hubris.
The accomplice asks about the maid, about Lena, and Mark just scoffs. He says, she's just a girl. She won't do anything.
And that right there, that's his fatal mistake. He completely underestimates her because of her class, because of her gender, because of her job. He sees maid, he sees girl, and his brain automatically computes powerless.
He dismisses her agency.
Completely. And in doing so, he fails to realize that her perceived powerlessness is the very thing that makes her so dangerous to him. She has nothing left to lose, and that makes her brave.
But then, the classic thriller trope happens. She's so focused, she leans in too far.
Makes a noise.
She knocks over a stack of empty boxes. The clatter echoes in the quiet night. Mark and his guy, their heads whip around. Mark spots their silhouette in the window.
And the chase is on?
The tension is it's palpable. This is a life or death situation now. If they catch her, she's not just a witness anymore.
She's a loose end that they will tie up permanently. It triggers this primal chase or be chased response.
She runs for her life through the dark, unfamiliar streets that are right behind her. She finally sees the headlights of a taxi, flags it down, and screams at the driver to go. She escapes.
But she doesn't go home. She doesn't go into hiding.
No. She goes straight to the police station.
Yeah.
And she walks in, this terrified, rain-soaked young woman, and she says, I have evidence that an innocent man is in jail.
And of course, the police are skeptical.
They look at her, and the first thing they say is, you're just a maid.
There it is again. The class bias. The dismissal. They see her uniform before they see her evidence.
But she persists. She has the phone, she has the photos, she has the recording, and this is where technology becomes the great democratizer of truth.
That's a great way to put it.
They don't have to believe her, they just have to believe the data, the timestamps on the photos, the audio file of Mark's confession. The digital trail is undeniable.
And so they agree to investigate.
And it all pays off. The evidence she provides leads them to a secret bank account in the Cayman Islands, in Mark's name, with millions of dollars in it, and a clear link to Ethan's forged signature.
The whole house of cards comes down.
Mark is arrested. Ethan is released.
And it feels like, that should be the end of the story. The hero is free, the villain is in cuffs, roll credits.
But it's not. We are only at the beginning of Chapter 6. There's still loose ends.
Because the external legal plot might be resolved, but the emotional arc isn't finished, and the threat hasn't been fully neutralized.
A legal victory is not the same thing as safety.
Exactly. Mark might be in jail, but he's not a lone wolf. He has a network. His accomplices are still out there.
So Ethan is released. He comes back to the silent mansion, but he's not at peace. He's filled with this cold rage. He tells Lena, Mark will pay for this. He's a changed man.
The numbness is gone, but it's been replaced by something harder.
And then they get a message. A rock comes crashing through one of the massive windows of the study. Tied to it is a note.
And the note says, you saved the wrong man. The real truth is still hidden.
What a terrifying message.
It's pure psychological warfare. It's designed to keep Ethan off balance, to make him paranoid, to make him doubt himself, and maybe even doubt Lena. It implies the conspiracy is bigger than just Mark and his financial scheme.
Meanwhile, the police are trying to get Mark to talk, but he's lawyered up. He's not saying anything. But they managed to trace a recent call he made from prison to a burner phone that pings. Where else?
Back at the warehouse.
Back to warehouse. The police are planning a raid, but Lena overhears this, and she insists on going. She tells Ethan, I need to end this.
She's taking ownership of the resolution. It's her fight now, too. She's not waiting for Ethan or the police to save a day. She is stepping fully into the role of the protector.
So she goes back, ahead of the police, and she finds them. 2 of Mark's men are inside, frantically shredding and burning documents. They're destroying the last of the evidence.
The evidence that would fully clear Ethan's name.
And this time, she gets caught. There's no escape. The confrontation becomes physical. One of the men grabs her.
And it's so important that this final confrontation is physical. It's not about smartphones and recordings anymore.
No.
It shows that Lena is willing to put her own body on the line for him. It's the ultimate proof of her courage and her loyalty. She's not just fighting with her mind anymore, she's fighting with her hands, with her feet. It's raw, desperate survival instinct.
She struggles. He cuts her arm with a box cutter. She kicks him, breaks free, grabs a heavy piece of a broken pallet, and hits the other man with it. She is fighting for her life.
And just when it seems like they're about to overpower her,
The police arrive, sirens, flashing lights, the whole thing. The officer who took her statement, the one who was skeptical at first, leads the charge. They arrest the men.
and they secure the evidence. The half-burned documents prove that Ethan wasn't just framed. He was actively trying to stop Mark's illegal activities before his family's accident sent him into his spiral of grief. He's not just innocent, he's a hero.
He is fully, completely cleared. And this leads to this incredibly raw, emotional aftermath back at the house. Ethan is just overwhelmed. He sees the cut on Lena's arm, and he breaks down.
He says, "You keep saving me. I don't know how to live anymore."
What does he mean by that?
He's completely stripped bare. All his defenses are gone. His identity was wrapped up in being the powerful provider, the protector, and their roles have been completely inverted. She has protected him. He feels useless, adrift.
And Lena, with her simple, profound wisdom, gives him the only advice that matters in that moment.
She says, "Start with one smile."
It's such beautiful advice.
It's a call to return to the basics of being human. Don't worry about the company. Don't worry about the trial. Don't think about the future. Just start with a single biological signal of happiness. Reactivate the muscles in your face. It's about taking one manageable step toward recovery.
And that one step opens the door to Chapter 7, transformation. This is where everything really changes.
The entire dynamic between them shifts.
He's no longer Sir. He's Ethan. And she's no longer just the maid. She's his partner. He insists they eat dinner together at the main dining table.
And the symbolism of the table is huge. Sharing a meal is a great equalizer. Throughout history, who gets a seat at the table is what defines the power structure. By inviting her to sit with him, he is officially dismantling the master-servant hierarchy.
They're equals.
They're equals, and they start to talk, really talk. They discuss grief. Ethan admits he always thought that love ended when a person died.
But Lena has a different perspective. She argues that love doesn't end, it just changes shape.
Which is such a beautiful, healing concept, this idea that grief is just love that has lost its object. It's a form of love that has nowhere to go.
And by caring for each other, they're giving all of that lost love a new place to go. They're redirecting that powerful energy.
They're healing each other.
And Ethan begins to show his gratitude, not just with words, but with actions. Big actions.
Yeah.
First, he finds out the full cost of Lena's mother's medical treatment.
And he pays for it.
Yeah.
All of it.
Right.
In full.
He lifts that entire burden off her shoulders. Then, he successfully regains full control of his company. And one of the first things he does is create a new department, a department of compliance and internal audits.
To make sure nothing like this can ever happen again.
And he offers Lena the job of managing it.
And this is so crucial. He doesn't just give her a gift of money. He gives her power. He gives her agency. He recognizes her competence. She proved in the most high-stakes way possible that she could handle pressure, investigation, and crisis management.
So he promotes her. It's a truly meritocratic rise. It's not nepotism. She earned this in the field, literally.
It completes her transformation from servant to equal and now to partner.
And then the confession, the emotional confession. He suggests she should take a long break, go see her mother now that she's well. But Lena refuses.
And why?
She tells him she can't leave because
Yeah.
the mansion is no longer just a workplace, it's home. And that opens the floodgates. They finally admit their feelings for each other. And Ethan says the line that brings the whole romantic arc to a climax. He says, "You became the reason I believe in love again."
It's the culmination of everything. Two broken people who found the pieces of themselves in each other. It's the happy ending.
But wait,
Oh no.
there's a twist. Just when you think it's all resolved, that they're going to live happily ever after, Chapter 8 drops a final bombshell.
The ghost of the past comes knocking one last time.
Lena receives a letter. It's anonymous. And the letter says, "Your father didn't die in an accident. Ask Ethan about it."
Oh, that is brutal. That is a direct attack on the foundation of their entire relationship, which is trust.
It's a bomb. It threatens to undo every single thing they've built.
It forces her to question everything. Was this all a lie? Was Ethan connected to her family's tragedy from the very beginning?
So she confronts him. She has to. She shows him the letter. And the question hangs between them. Was her father's death connected to him?
But Ethan, he tells the truth.
He does. He reveals that Lena's father, a man named Thomas Miller, used to work for his company years ago. And the letter was right. He didn't die in a random construction accident like Lena had always been told.
He died trying to stop Mark Benson.
Exactly. All those years ago, her father was the first one to discover Mark's schemes. He was a whistleblower. He was trying to protect the company, to protect Ethan, and Mark had him killed, making it look like an accident.
So Mark Benson has been the villain of her family's story for an entire generation. This conflict is intergenerational.
And Ethan admits he knew this. He found out after the fact, and he admits he hid it from her.
And why? Why would he hide something so important?
Fear. He was terrified of losing her. He felt so guilty, so responsible for her father's death, that he thought if she ever found out her father died because of his company, she would hate him.
It's a valid fear, but it's also the ultimate lie of omission. And for a moment, it looks like it's going to work. Lena feels completely betrayed.
She says to him, "You lost me by hiding the truth." It looks like this is the one thing they can't overcome.
But then, the final piece of the puzzle comes from the outside. The police are interrogating one of Mark's captured accomplices, the one from the warehouse. And to save himself, the guy gives up everything.
He confirms the entire story. He tells the police that Thomas Miller didn't just die. He died a hero, specifically while saving Ethan's money files from being stolen by Mark.
And that reframes the entire narrative for Lena.
Completely. Her father wasn't a victim of Ethan's negligence. He was a hero. He was a partner in the same fight against corruption that she just fought.
She wasn't just avenging a stranger, she was finishing her father's work. She was closing a circle that had been open for decades.
And she realizes this. She sees that her father died a hero, and that Ethan isn't malicious. He was just human. He was scared, and she forgives him.
Forgiveness is the final act of healing in the story. It's what allows them to finally, truly move forward without the weight of the past.
And Ethan, to honor her father, establishes the Thomas Miller Foundation, a charity dedicated to helping the families of poor workers who are injured or killed on the job.
Bringing the entire story full circle.
The story ends with them together, two people who were broken by tragedy. And the last line is, "We both lost something, but we found each other."
It's a very satisfying resolution because it doesn't just tie up the external plot of the crime, it fully resolves the internal plot, which was always about healing from grief. The very tragedy and corruption that tore their lives apart is also, ironically, the thing that brought them together.
So let's zoom out. We've gone through the whole story. What are the big takeaways? Let's start with that theme of the invisible hero.
I think it's the central thesis of the entire story. Our society, by and large, tends to overlook people in service roles. Maids, janitors, delivery drivers. They often become part of the background scenery.
They're treated like furniture that moves.
Exactly. But this story makes a powerful argument that their very invisibility gives them a unique and powerful vantage point. They see and hear the truth that the official power structures often work very hard to hide. Lena saved Ethan, not in spite of being a maid, but because she was a maid who was actually paying attention.
It's also a fascinating commentary on the nature of evil in this narrative. The villain wasn't some shadowy stranger in a dark alley.
No, it was the smiling friend. It was the man in the expensive suit who called him brother. It was Mark Benson.
And that's such a common reality, especially in white-collar crime. The real danger so often comes from inside the house, from the people you trust the most.
Mark used the concept of friendship as a weapon. Ethan's guard was down because he made an assumption based on social status and history. He trusted the guy in the suit, and he ignored the girl in the apron. He had to learn to completely flip that script.
He had to learn that character matters infinitely more than costume.
Absolutely.
And finally, let's talk about resilience. Lena starts this story with $20, a sick mother, and worn-out shoes. She ends it running a corporate department and having found love and a home. But the key is how she got there.
That's the key. She didn't succeed by becoming ruthless and cynical like Mark. She didn't adopt the tactics of her enemy. She succeeded by holding on to what her mother told her in the very first chapter. Don't lose your kindness.
It's a profound validation of what some people might dismiss as soft power.
It is. In this story, her empathy, her kindness, her choice to care, that wasn't a weakness. That was the core of her strategy. It's what allowed her to build the trust and the alliance that ultimately saved both their lives.
So as we wrap up, here's a final provocative question for you, for everyone listening right now. In your own life, in your office, in your community, maybe even in your own home, who is the invisible person?
Who is the person holding things together that you might be overlooking?
Who is the one seeing the truth while everyone else is busy looking at their screens or listening to the loudest person in the room?
It's worth thinking about, because as this story shows, the person who empties the trash at night might just know more about what's really going on than the CEO in the corner office.
Absolutely. Thank you for diving deep with us today into the job that changed everything. It's a powerful reminder that sometimes the biggest heroes are the ones we've been trained to see as just part of the background.
Keep your eyes open.
We'll catch you on the next deep dive.